practice, and I hope you're getting this from my classes, is that when you actually embody the empty space, when you realize that the space that the energy that your mind can draw in, that is amazingly powerful and subject to a certain attachments, right, is actually the same energy that's already in your body. That there's a way that we need the body to reground and empower the space of the energy that the mind is drawing, right? We're channeling an energy. So the idea of doing simple things, right? So start to feel more rather than less. See, what if the unifying energy of the universe is not tangible, right? But it's always here. And of course, human beings have called it all sorts of things, spirit, soul, all sorts of stuff. But let's call it a potential of the nervous system too, whatever else you want to call it, right? I don't really care what you call it. I know it's here, right? And I'm more interested in how it comes to our bodies. So I'm sitting here, start to noticing what happens when I start to pay attention to some of the fundamentals of my configuration. Like, so am I holding tension in my face? Lips together, teeth slightly apart. I remember one time, there are all sorts of softening inside your mouth, which, I give all the time. I remember one time in Shavasana, I heard a senior Angar teacher say, let your mouth be hollow. Well, actually, this was Joe, my teacher. Let it be like a cave. Right? So your lips together, teeth slightly apart, but let it be deep and actually a little bit dark. And then keep an outside connection by softening the skin around your temples and the skin on your forehead. So you got this deepening this way, which is the top of your spine, grounding again. Even soften the base of your tongue so you resist any urge to speak. So you're deepening and you're staying outward simultaneously. Allow that when that really starts to happen, you get better at it. There's a dropping down, a light dropping down. So ground your feet in your sitting bones, feel them. So the dropping passes through the structure of where your body is. And gently lift your chest back. But do it in a way that includes, remember, I think we're simultaneously falling and rising in every moment, and that this truth is reflected in every pose. So the emptiness in us that makes us fragile also can be empowered by the body, can be contained by the body. So soften your gaze. Keep going inward, but as you start to lift your chest, notice you kind of want to inhale, right? So you've got a down and an up. And then feel the space between your ear and your shoulders and the space behind you, but keep the spark of life rising. Drop the shoulder blades. So now we're going to go from a more quieter centering to more active. And remember, for weeks, I've been talking about the first step into more action. Can you do it non-violently? Can you not disturb the pond while you're moving your body? And can you allow for both? Wait, there's a lot of attention here. It's hard to stay focused. Repose. Start again. You always get to start again. You get to feel home. It's part of the gift of continuance. Bring your hands into prayer, or hands on your thighs, or forearms on your thighs, or whatever. Inner and outer, inside of your sternum, and your hands as an outer manifestation of the inside of your sternum. Now you get to add more pressure between the heel of your hands, open the skin on the palms, all the while let that open your chest. Stay open to the space behind you. Stay empty between your ears and shoulders. Feel your base. Ooh, I've got some finger skin that's not stretching the same. Everything feeds the whole. Don't let your effort get in the way. Re-soften the inward depth of the cave of the mouth. Reinvigorate. Lift the chest, spread between the shoulder blades. Lift under the collarbones, down to the feet, down to the sitting bones. Occupy the space with honor. Let go of your day and prepare your mind to do yoga. Living is a privilege. Good, and then release. Put your hands down to your thighs, palms up. Remember, your body stays faithful to your living. Your mind doesn't, not always. Lift the sternum up to your chin, drop the chin down. We're trying to invigorate the rib cage, right? Because if the rib cage opens, remember, biggest anger thinks the intersection between the physiological body and the subtle body occurs at the diaphragm. So you want to lift your chest without overgripping your diaphragm. You want to feel your rib cage so you can find your legs on the subtle body and the bottoms of your feet. Breath into each nostril, into each lung, each sitting bone, the bottom of each foot. Prana follows consciousness, awareness. You feed it with your breath. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. So the irony is our fragile part is also our resilient part, right? It's a paradox. The transcendent part comes from the empty part. So I'm moving around, trying to wake it up like I always do, trying to go like, oh yeah, all this heavy, deep stuff needs to be lighter, right? I need not to take myself too seriously, right? I need to remember that there's joy in realization, not just burden, right? Take your legs wide. The work it takes to be a yogi, when you get too serious about it, you lose. My legs are going wide here. Remember, I'm just opening up because I'm going to want to make sure gravity and I are friends. When you live with a disability, gravity is not necessarily your friend. It's actually something you have to work really hard against. And you also have to worry about it. If you're in a wheelchair, hitting the floor is like the bad place. And gravity is always going to bring you to the floor. Right? So I'm going back and forth and trying to, I remember when I was an upward facing dog one time, working way too hard physically, trying to win the pose, even though I'm fused in my upper back. And Joe, my teacher, was looking at me going, "Ah, you're trying awfully hard." She said, "Instead of working so hard, why don't you change your relationship to gravity? Just change gravity." It's like, what? You mean change gravity? Huh. What's your relationship to gravity? So it's lines like that that make me think that the subtle body isn't subject to gravity in the same way. All right. So I'm going to lift up again, because we know space in the low back is part of our warm-up we do every week, right? I'm going to lift up even higher and let it hang, right? I want that space in the low back, especially if you're doing a lot of sitting, right? So I'm lifting up. So I know that the space, if I can, especially if I'm doing a lot of sitting, if I can keep distinction between my legs and my low back, right, and my low spine, my life is going to be better, right? So I want to keep that space light, right? So we'll just do a quick dog pose. What the heck? Because we want to keep, now we're going to make it more formal. Instead of the lighting energy of just some movement, we're going to come more into a pose, right? And hit the sitting bones down, elongate the back, lift the chest. If your hands are on the table, right, open the palms, press down to the index bone, roll the inner upper arm up, all the things, right? Stretch out to the top of your head, look down, and you're just trying to figure out in your own pose, how can I make more space in my back? And then release. I remember one of the first times I ever was with Joe, my yoga teacher. She said, "Matt, think about stretching a rubber band. If you take a rubber band and you only pull on one side of the rubber band without anchoring it, it's never going to stretch, right?" And she said this simple thing in the first time we're actually together. And I'm like, oh my God, it's in every single pose. So when you're coming forward to do downward facing dog from a chair, what's the other side of the rubber band, and how are you anchoring it, and how well are you anchoring it? So you can pull and stretch the rubber band, right, from both sides. Seems simple. It ain't that simple, right? It is simple though. So come forward again. This time I'll do it on my thighs. Man, again, but the thing is what happens when you get so much about your spine, you forget your legs. That's the disadvantage of doing dog pose in a chair, is that it's harder to keep your legs active, right? So I'm going to do it this way now, and I'm going to try to hit down with my sitting bones. But I know that if I just go vertical, I'm losing part of my base. So I need to also go horizontal, right? So I need to go down with my sitting bones. I'm going to right away know that a really key place for my yoga pose is my sternum. So I'm going to spread the space between my shoulder blades, hit down with my sitting bones, and extend out through the top of my head. Now, most of you can probably engage your muscles in your legs to hit down. I can't. So I have to look for the subtle body. So when I hit down with my sitting bones, start stretching the rubber bands, broadening between my shoulder blades, stretching out to the top of my head, a door is getting open to my legs, because that's how it works, right? And then when I feel a connection, when I do this well, that something opens, a possibility opens for my legs, then I'm going to hit down through my feet more. Now I'm going to take some time to take some even full breaths. Dang, I'm breathing into my right lung more than my left, right? So I have to pay attention. So I'm going to put more attention on my left nostril and my left sitting bone. De-rotate my scoliosis and keep extending my spine, but really grounding my legs, because I want my spine to be different than my legs. Good, and then release. One of the keys to asana is when you can differentiate different parts of your body at an increasingly deep level, right? So for me, it's really important to keep putting reference on my legs because the messages from my legs aren't getting as quickly to my brain, right? But even you people that don't have severed spinal cords, there's an infinity of how your legs can talk to your spine, to your spine, up to your brain, right? So I want to put some more reference on the legs, right? Because we're going to end up doing some stuff, right? So I want to hit back on my own legs and help me so I'm pushing back on my knees and I'm springboarding my spine into space. And I'm going to do this action trying to create an energetic stir in my legs. So I start with my legs, bring my spine forward. I come down and put more weight into my legs because gravity's moved, right? And then back. And then push back on my legs, spring my spine forward, come down, right? Ground my legs. Now, I know, so try to be really, you people that can have more trunk control than me, I have to make this really hard. I'm going to try to come up this time, but I'm really going to push down through my feet. So you people that can actually push down through your feet physically, right? Try to do this in a really graceful way. And from your legs, hit down through your legs and really slowly raise your spine up. So I'm using my arms here too, because I can't do it without my arms. But I'm paying a lot of attention to how my spine is coming through my limbs, right? How this part of me is traveling, right? So I'm going to hit back again. I'm going to come down. I'm going to grab on my knees, lift up. So this is the beginning of a forward bend, right? And thing is, BK Sengar really wants you to lift up as you come down because he wants the space between the femur bones. In fact, let's back up for a second. So he wants the space between the femur bones and the low waist to be open. So I want you to take if you can, take your hand and push on your upper femur bone, and then take your thumb and lift up on your lower abdomen. So you get a sense of space between where your legs are and where your torso begins. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to lift up with my forearms on my armrests, and I'm going to push down on my femur bones as I lift my chest up. But I'm looking for the space, the crease between my femur bones and my low abdomen, right? Because if you do yoga long enough, you start to realize that that's magic space. And it's a space, if you sit a lot, that you cover up, right? So I'm looking for that space. Okay, because now I'm going to keep that, I'm going to imprint my brain to remember the sensation of that space. As soon as I take my arms forward, it starts to collapse. So I'm trying to keep it open. I'm going to now push up my legs. I'm going to spring my spine forward. Now, when I hit my sitting bones down, I want to keep that space in my lower abdomen up as I come forward. As I come down and gravity starts to shift, right? So now my spine's coming through my legs. Breathe. And now I'm going to ground. I'm going to push up and try to use my legs and the open crease at the top of my thighs to come up. And I'm taking time with this. Oh, I got to shake it out a little bit. I'm taking time with this because I want the empty space of my consciousness to get empty. Right? So I'm going to come back and do it again. Here, I got to let someone in. right? So I'm going to do it again. I know. Remember, your spine is the one, there's magic energy in your spine. So I'm keeping it open here. I'm shifting gravity. So I'm on the back edge of my sitting bones to get that space open and the downward energy. I'm keeping it and coming forward. I'm coming through and coming down. I'm watching gravity shift. And yes, you can feel your legs, but I want the energy of your spine to move through the midline of your legs, right? And now I'm going to hit down through my feet. I'm going to ground and I'm going to rise back up through the space, right? Come back. And now I'm going to hit here and go up and over the back of my chair, using the space between my low abdomen and my femur bones as the benchmark of success. Good, and then release. So we're gonna do it again. So the benchmark of whether you're getting as much prana out of this as you can is gonna be if you can keep that space tall, right? The space between your femur bones and your low abdomen needs to be tall, right? Because then it'll open up, I think probably the nadis, but I could be just making words up, right? All right, gonna try it again. I'm gonna hit back. I'm gonna rise up. Oop, I'm gonna start again. I'm gonna remember this imprint. I'm gonna keep the imprint, hit back, ground my fingertips, come forward, pause here to keep the space tall between my femur bones and my abdomen. And then I'm gonna come forward and I'm gonna watch the gravity change in my legs. I'm gonna, now when I come back up, I'm gonna push with my feet, raise my spine out from between my legs, looking for that space to relight between my femur bones and my low abdomen. Find it and go up and over the back of my chair. Good. And then release. So we've done it slow a couple times because now we're going to do it fast. And believe me, you throw a lot of shit away when you do things fast. Right? But you gain some fun and some rhythm. So you throw some stuff away and you gain some stuff. But the hope is that the sequence has imprinted your mind to stay aware of the space as the speed is happening. That's the hope. And, you know, the other strategy is to do it 10,000 times fast and see if your mind wakes up. Right? It's kind of, you know, I'd work from both sides. Right? All right. Here we go. Find the space. Come forward. Pull myself forward. Spring my spine forward. Bring it down between my legs. Ground. I'm going to go down and use my legs more to rise my spine, not rise my spine, right? Alone. Hit, find that spot, open it up, come back the other way. Bring back into the midline, come through, come forward, right? Doing it all. So do it a few times without all my damn language, right? Push up all the way through. We're watching your spine travel through your own soup of your body, right? Come back through, do it a few times, right? Your spine is stirring your own soup back through, up, through. One more at your own pace. So I hope there was enough movement that as you sit quietly for a second, you're feeling some flutter. Can you feel that flutter? Anybody? Right? What if that's color dye igniting your resilience? That flutter, the fatigue is showing you a little bit of your dimension. So sit with it for a second. So fatigue is one way to teach asana, right? So start breathing into it and grounding it. So I'm just noticing, I think Claire is wearing a winter jacket. Must be cold wherever she's practicing. Stay warm, Claire. So breathe, keep breathing into the home. Maybe take the outside of your mouth and turn it slightly toward your lips as you breathe into your own home. So now take that hum and take your arms wide. Gonna hold for a while. Watch the fatigue come. And then back. So that hum, the great thing about the hum that you feel inside your body is that same hum is in the empty spaces right around your body. What? Yeah. Okay. So this time when you take your arms wide and you do it from the hum, let the hum be under your arms too, and over your arms, and between your ears and your shoulders, and drop your shoulder blades down. Damn, I got the one place on my elbow that always hurts. Oh well. It's always my right elbow, damn it. But I'm watching everything else, not just where it hurts. I'm not ignoring that it hurts. So keep your arms up if you can. I know I started to do violence in my right shoulder. So keep your arms up if you can. Mm-hmm. And then take your arms down. Right. So what's really, I think, kind of that's fun about gravity shifts is so lean over to your left and then take your arm up or whatever your arm can do. Isn't it fun that gravity helps you hold your arm up? Right? It's coming into your torso. So the midline is actually happening because the arm is balancing. Ground your sitting bones, lift your chest. Find your ribs. As you find your ribs, find the back of your legs and then find your feet. The same empty space is humming around you. I especially need to feel it. I need to feel it right there. And on the lower side, I don't know about you. You might be different. Good. And then release. You know what's a hum I have a hard time feeling? Underneath my wheelchair seat between the floor and my butt. That's a hum I have a hard time letting in. Oh, well, I got work to do, right? Gonna go the other way. So instead of just holding my arm heavy against gravity, I'm using gravity to help my arm stay in the socket, right? So whatever your arm is doing, even if it's here, you're trying to let the gravity become your ally as you extend. So you're not just fighting gravity to keep your arm up. You're letting it fall You're keeping your arm up, still letting it fall, because that shows you where your legs are. And then when you start keeping your shoulder blade in and you extend through your elbow to your wrist, you start to light your legs. Ooh, my head's out of whack. It's funny when grace starts to align your poses, not effort. It's a great breakthrough. Good, and then release. So this work with my arms has made me compress the space in my back. So a little dog pose in between, remembering the dog pose, remembering that there's a resource sitting here that's in the empty space, not just in my physical resilience. Right? So I'm going to do a little dog pose. But I'm remembering that crease. I'm not throwing away the whole class. Right? This isn't the same dog pose. Right? I'm learning from stuff. I'm letting the sequence write me. W-R-I-T-E. It's writing this dog pose. Oh, now when I do that, I can actually get a sense of what it'd be like to breathe for the bottoms of my feet, because my spine touches the bottoms of my feet. That's cool. I like that. Good, and then come on back. Now, if you have a table in front of you, I want you to put your right elbow on the table. If you don't have a table in front of you, and you can put your right arm on your chair or down on your right. I want to do it this time on the table, because I want more extension than I would get, but it doesn't really matter. In fact, there's advantage and disadvantage. So I'm kind of doing a Marichiasan 3, right? But notice, you probably can't see this, but I'm totally grounding with my other hand here. So I'm like this, right? But I'm not rolling my shoulder forward, because that'd be dumb, right? Because I know the midline has to do the pose. And I'm doing all this so I can get my legs more active, right? So here'd be a bad pose. And I'd turn, right? Now I'm going to roll this in, but I'm going to ground this elbow, but not just down. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to extend from the underside of the arm out to the elbow, right? So I'm going to activate and go down. So I'm elongating my humerus bone, right? While keeping my shoulder blade back on this right arm. And I'm still lengthening the underside. I'm grounding this arm, and I'm rolling it into the midline as I lead the twist from this inner edge of my rib cage that way. All this to find my legs better, right? So here's me collapsed. Here's me coming into a yoga pose like out of the ashes. Here's me turning. And once I get my spine into my legs on the subtle body level, then I ground through my sitting bones, through my legs, down to my inner heel, and extend up and out. Finding your legs when you're sitting, hard, 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 hard. Good, and then release. Come back to center. One of the things I've unfortunately figured out lately, I don't take enough sunlight in my left eye. Do you have an eye you take more sunlight in? I'll bet you do. Right? Just try to balance that out. Everyone needs sunlight from both eyes, right? Equal amounts of sunlight. Even on cloudy days. I'm down here. I'm finding where my arms should be here. It's a little different place on this side, because I know what yoga feels like. I know where it needs to be, right? So, of course, I don't. doing a collapsed pose. This is when I could just turn from here and pretend I'm doing yoga, right? I'm going to come out of the ashes. I'm going to make sure my spine starts to engage. I'm going to like make sure that this shoulder blade rolls into the midline. I lengthen the skin across here, but I'm not just going straight down with my elbow on the table. I'm lengthening the underside, the tricep side of the humerus bone, right? I'm hitting there and down and grounding on with my right hand down, lifting my spine and starting to rotate. All this to find my legs better, to hit down through my sitting bones, down each leg. Breathe. Good. And then come on back to center. So I don't know about you, but even though I tried to do that for my legs, by starting on the upper body, I got to my legs secondarily. So now I want to balance that out. I'm going to go back and I'm going to pump energy into my legs. Right? So I'm going to back up and go. Making sure that I'm going to even jiggle my legs a little bit, making sure, because we did all this stuff with the tension on the upper body, right? And we still want it to come this way. And then what the heck? Let's take our legs wide for a second. Ooh. There's my groins again. So what? You're going to turn this pose with my legs wide? So I'm being smart over here, right? See my hand waving over there? I'm grabbing something smart over here. Right? I'm putting my elbow down over here. And I'm coming forward a little bit. And now I'm doing the same thing we just did at the table, but I've got more action on my legs, right? This would be a little bit more like a seated revolve twist, right? Or retail, like Jana Sirsasana, something like that, right? So I'm doing the same thing. I'm grounding, I'm extending, I'm opening, I'm staying in the midline. I'm leading the twist from my bottom floating rib, this side floating rib. I'm looking up, but I'm forward, right? So it's not the same twist. Good, and then release. Now, before I go to the other side, I'm going to make sure I'm aware of the triangle between my knees and my tailbone. In fact, I'm going to let my spine feel that, the legs of the stool, the three-legged stool. And I'm going to come down the other way. And I'm going to ground. And I'm going to find the right place for my arm, which on this one is farther behind me, right? And I'm forward. And as I'm twisting, I'm making sure that I extend out through each knee, right? So I'm in more space. I'm forward. I'm coming into the midline. I'm grounding down on extending my forearm. I'm lifting my chest. I'm turning. As I take this floating rib, right, towards the midline and twist from this floating rib on my left side, right, I turn up, but I'm keeping the energy of the base of my spine going out through each knee down to each foot. The base is way different. Good. And then come on back to center. Be in the center. Come back to center. Bring your legs back in. Oh, this twist looks simpler now, right? Huh. Just going to visit it. So what I'm doing, that twist was hard if my legs are wide. So I'm just quickly finding my midline again, grabbing my own knee and twisting, but making sure the midline is staying up through my spine, that the energy is going this way instead of that way, right? Back to the other way. All these things. So in yoga or in, I don't know, whatever the hell it is we're doing exactly, there's magic energy in your spine. Sometimes I call it Kundalini energy. So when you're trying to figure out, remember, I think the spine split in two and became legs, and then it split in two and became arms. Like that just was kind of like, then a big gelatinous mass grew up on the top of the spine, and some things started to happen around the spine, right? And so, but the core of the life force is happening more through the spine, right? And so opening that energy through your whole body. So my hands are on the table again. So I'm going to revisit I'm going to start again with dot pose because I'm kind of backing out of the room, right? But now I'm going to do the poses not so strongly because I know we're coming to the end of class, right? So I'm trying to visit through, right? But I'm backing out of the room and revisiting the class, right? So here I'm in dog pose again. Attention, distinction between my femur bones and my lower abdomen. I'm going to take that space, keep it, take my arms away. Damn, I'm not fatiguing this bad. That's weird. Kind of like that. Good. And then take my arms down. Now, believe it or not, we practice the same thing in these twists. Keep the space standing tall between your femur bones and your sitting bones. Wait, that was the same pose? Yeah. 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 Gonna go the other way. Wait, these were all the same pose? Yeah. Yeah. They were the same pose, just different body positions. Take my legs wide. What? Your body's arbitrary? Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to prana, I'm just visiting stuff. My legs are wide now. I'm just visiting. I'm backing out of the room, smiling at where I've been. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Back to the midline. You know that you don't breathe prana, right? Prana breathes you. Yeah, I kind of know that. But I kind of like being in charge more than being breathed. Huh. So I'm practicing the midline. See, I'm doing all these things that I'm preparing myself for Shavasana. I should be telling you. So I'm sitting there and I'm bringing my femur bones together. So, because I want this midline, right? When I start letting in the support of the chair. I want to remember what it is to move my spine through my entire body. and where it's like these limbs I've worked with students that don't have limbs or don't only have one limb or two. They always have spine. Even if their spines don't work, their spinal. And the energy from the spine is always seeking expression. Looking for a party. Doesn't want to be a scarecrow. It's not just looking for a dead party. It's looking for a living party. Right? It's not just, it's like, oh, it wants a living party. Right? All right. It's time for Shavasana. When I said years ago, when I realized years and years ago that it's about the spine, stupid. Oh dear. I'm still figuring out how that's true. It's humbling. The tentacles that the spine puts through the entire body. Yeah, it's your electrical nervous system. Yeah, it's your blood flow. It's all that stuff. And it's something else too. It's this hum thing that travels out through, even through your skin and stuff. So I'm bringing my hands together and I'm feeling my spine come together, right? Because I practice shit like this. Oh my God, I'm moving my hands through my inner body. Yeah, I can feel it right now, right? All these things are here. I'm glad I don't have to think about that when I'm making my peanut butter toast. But sometimes it's good to watch how everything's connected to everything else and breathe. Your mind gets overwhelmed by such truths, by the way. So quiet your mind down. All right, start to let in the support of your chair. Oh, goodness. Cometh the sack of potatoes. Let everything hold you up. Sack meets the levity. Yes, every single moment. Balance your head over your neck, lips together, teeth slightly apart. The hum, it's right around your body and it's inside your body. And it wants to come home. Let your chair hold you up. Emptiness in your joints, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, wrists, even the joints in your hands and toes. They're already humming. And the earth has already traveled 18 miles as I speak. Start to bring yourself back. Here at the core of things, it's good. Mind forgets. Gradually increase your breath. Lengthen your exhale. No rush. Just bring yourself back to movement. You get to travel to and from movement. When you're ready, your eyes. Close them again if it's too shocking. I like to let the light, I like to do it a second time because I like to let the light touch my eyeballs. Like, oh, holy. Then I like to see the scene. Saw a pileated woodpecker this morning, chomping away on a dead tree on my lawn. I don't know how they don't get headaches. Those things pound, right? I don't know. Hope you see something today, because I know the earth's showing you something today. I know it. Hands together. Namaste. Spirit in me bows the spirit in you. The plan is